Dear listeners, welcome to the first episode of podcast series Big Data, Big Challenges and Big Real Success. My name is Anna Przybył and I will host this podcast for you. Speaking from a business perspective, I will ask my guests, experts in the data and AI field, questions, and they will share their insights, real-world challenges, and professional experiences. So, I hope it will provide great knowledge from different perspectives. These podcasts are made possible thanks to the boutique company Sofixit, which specializes in data and AI-related projects, services, and solutions such as data lakes and data lakehouses. Sofixit is also well known for their non-profit initiatives which have a positive impact for all industry, so it is really worth following their LinkedIn channel. Today, we will talk about how to implement real-life AI projects in organizations, so about AI in action. And our special guest is Barbara Sobkowiak. Hello, Basiu. Nice to have you here with us.
Nice to hear you.
Yeah, so could you tell us a few words about you, for those who haven't already met you in reality, and your experience in data-related world?
Okay, so I working in AI and data field almost 13 years. And now I am an advanced analytics manager in Rossmann Poland, but before that I also worked as a data science manager. And I cooperate with different kind of companies, not only retail, not only in Poland, but especially in Poland. And I am responsible now for data science and data governance. And during my career, during my work life, I worked with different kind of data and different kind of algorithms. And what is the most, I think, special in my job, that always I try to combine two words: technical and business. So I'm not a developer, I'm not a business user, I'm something between, and I try to combine this word because I think this is the most difficult when we talk about AI and data.
Yeah, I believe so. Well, thank you for this beautiful introduction. So I think that it would be great to start with our first question. So, Basiu, I'm really curious, how can organization build a culture where decisions are truly data-driven? What are the first steps?
Okay, I think now it's very hard to say what is the first steps. Because, okay, when you think about the data-driven company, you think, okay, the first step is take care about data. Yeah, we need clear data, we need the good quality of data, etc. Yeah, so I think it's quite obvious. But it's not so easy to have this kind of data. And it doesn't matter what kind of company you work, big or small, I see the same problems with quality of data. Yeah, it doesn't matter. We have 10 systems, one system, always people have a mess in data builders. So, of course, the first step is take care about the data. But this is only job for different kind of data engineers, so for technical people. But when we want to make a culture for a company and say that our company is data-driven company, we have to change the mindset of people. Because, okay, maybe we have, after 1 year, 2 years, our data engineers made a great job and they cleared all data, every single row. But then still we need to change the mindset of people who use data. Because if you want to be a data-driven company, your people have to make decisions based on data. And okay, maybe it sounds so easy. Yeah, okay, I have a report and I can make a decisions. But one day I heard a very, very good sentence, and I think it is a very good quote, that is, without the data, it's very easy to make the decision because nobody, really nobody, can say something against you. Yeah, against your data, because you don't have data, you don't have reports. Yeah, so then is very easy, and I think the data-driven company culture is for technical people. Yeah, of course they have own job to make, but it's also for business users because they learn how to use data, how to make a decision based on data, based on reports, based on algorithms, how to trust data, how to trust the algorithms. And also, the responsibility of good quality of data is not only on IT side, it's also on the business side, because I saw so many times different kind of Excel files where is everything. And when we don't have in our DNA, in our culture, in our mindset that everybody takes care about data, then we won't build good fundamentals for data-driven company.
So speaking of that, what would you say about how to build collaboration between business and data science to reach this goal?
Okay, here I think we have at least two aspects. One, to teach our data scientists that they build something for other people who don't understand how machine learning works, how AI works, and it's not their responsibility. Yeah, users expect something useful for them. It is not their responsibility to understand every detail. This is one thing. The second thing is to teach our data scientists that before they will start building models, AI systems, doesn't matter, they have to understand really well why they do it and why business need it. And the third is education for business users, because it's much easier to build a connection between two sides, business and IT, when everybody understands other side. So then we have to take care about education, some kind of education for our business users. And of course, we don't teach them how, for example, decision tree works, or I don't know, the neural networks, but we teach them why we don't expect 100 accuracy of the model, or why our model don't understand something. Because, for example, we don't have data about events in Poland. And then when they understand why this kind of system, AI system, machine learning system works, it's much easier to understand that our job is good and the system is very, very good. Okay, now people think that AI is like a magic, yeah, and AI could do everything. Thanks God not. But still we have explained what AI can do, what can't do. And this is also a job for us, so for data science people, data people. But then when business users understand what's going on in AI, of course, from the high level, it's much, much easier to build a very good AI system.
Okay, but well, if I may ask, I would like to elaborate a little bit on that. So how to reach this goal, how to make these people who are responsible for business, to understand that this is really crucial, to work on data and to see how to work with that.
I think that always when you want to convince somebody to something, you have to show some kind of examples. Yeah?
Okay.
For example, I will come back to this kind of decision based on the report. For example, if financial people make a decision without any reports about the finances, it's like, playing a game. But then if you show them that, okay, here you have a report with your finance situation for every department, for example, and you see what was happened in last 3 months and what will happen in next 9 months, so whole year, you make a quite good decision where we are and what we'll do. This the same is with AI. When we will show them that example, when AI doesn't understand something, it's much easier. I always use a very good example with llama, because this animal is not very popular in Poland. And of course, now it's more popular. But when I was a kid, we didn't know what is llama. Yeah. And then when you ask small children, and please, could you describe me a cat? So the cat a few times. Yeah. And the kid will explain the cat has a long tail, etc., etc. But when you ask the children, okay, what looks like the llama, probably the children will have a problem because the children didn't see the llama. And I think this is the best way to convince business people how works AI when we show examples, very easy examples. Of course, somebody could discuss that, oh yeah, but you can add llama to the training sets, etc., etc. Yeah, of course. But when we educate people, when we try to convince people, we have to use very, very simple concepts, very simple samples, very clear examples. And this one thing. The second thing is now it's quite easy to convince people to use AI.
Sometimes even too easy, probably, yeah?
Sometimes, yeah, too easy. Sometimes too easy, yeah. Everybody wants to use AI because it's fancy. Everybody is talking that it will save your time or your money, or you will do a better work. And this is true, but not always, of course. But if you show them that, okay, if you use this kind of tool, Gen AI tool, I don't know, to generate a music, for example, and you show them how to use and how is easy, then they will see that, okay, it's not a magic. I will write some kind of prompt, and after a few seconds, I have a music. Okay, maybe not a music from the Beethoven, maybe not from a very famous singer, but still quite good music or something. Yeah, and very often this is good enough. And also, I think that what is the most important, that we as IT people, AI people, data science people, we have to be a partner for them. We have to be a, let's say, consultant for them. Because, okay, when we do something for the business, we have to have somebody in the team who can and like to speak with people, with business, to explain them, because they trust people, and the IT people. They trust me, for example. I know people who are very, very, very smart. They are very good programmers, developers. They have very good AI data science skills, but they can't speak with people with simple words. And then when you talk with business people and you use so many buzzwords or maybe so many different very hard words about technology and they don't understand this, and this is obvious, yeah? They don't understand this. You don't have this kind of connection. You don't build your trustful, yeah?
Exactly, Basu. I would say that you are this kind of connector, yeah, who translates the language of technical people into the language of business people, yeah? And you also use a lot of simple words, as I see, yeah, and simple examples, some storytelling and the things that the business will understand, yeah, clearly, and to make the decision.
Yeah, and this is, from my perspective, this is one for the most important, my skill, to explain something in simple words. Of course, I didn't learn this in, I don't know, a few months. I learned this very, very long, but I think that everybody needs this kind of person in data science team, because it's much easier than scientists who explain that, okay, we built for you a neural networks with error MIP, 20%, but we see that some variables doesn't work very well. Yeah, and I see this kind of eyes of business user, to calling rescue.
Yeah, you are kind of rescuer there. Yeah, and all right, Basu. So if I may ask you, because of course we start with simple examples and simple AI projects, just to maybe some talks, just to convince business people to AI or to some projects. What would you say about how can companies scale AI from tests to daily use? How can they do it?
Well, I think this is one of the hardest tasks for organization. And not only today. It was a hard task even a few years ago. The problem is that now people make a very, very quickly a POC or MVP. And they can show, okay, we have a wonderful application with AI feature. Or we have a wonderful AI model for something. Yeah. But then, to deploy this on the production and use for the whole organization, you need a lot of time. But the problem is very, very complex, because I see that many times people do POC or MVP without thinking that this project could be scaled in next month. So they don't think about every aspect for data organization, infrastructure, limits, restrictions, requirements, etc., which will exist in the production. And then we have a problem that, okay, our POC works very, very well. Yeah, but then we have, for example, POC, the model works, I don't know, will train 1 hour. Yeah, and okay, quite good. Then you are going to the business users, and the business user will say, okay, but we need the results in 5 minutes. A little bit problematic. Okay, maybe train no, but with prediction. With prediction, when you will say that, okay, we have a prediction after 1 hour, business user will say, yeah, but we need after a few minutes. Then you have a huge problem. How to do it? So the first step is the thinking on POC phase about the development phase, development step. That you have to think about every restriction, every requirement. Or maybe not every, but general requirements and restrictions. The second is that very often POC people do, the code is so messy and the code is in notebook, Jupyter notebooks. And then when I see the POC in Jupyter notebook, I know that we will have problems because not everybody knows, and maybe something was changed and I'm not updated. But it's not very easy to use Git repository, so code repository with notebooks. And then you have a little bit problematic situation because you have to write the code one more time. Or you can translate this code from notebook to a Python with some kind of function, some kind of feature. But honestly, it's not so easy. Okay, it's easy from the technical point of view, but still sometimes it's easier to write a code one more time. The third problem, I think, is that we need an infrastructure. Yeah, okay, some models, machine learning models, you can train on your laptop, and it works very well. Yeah, we don't need always a GPU or a huge cloud infrastructure. It's good for POC, for example, because, I don't know, you prepared a model for only a group of your customers. But then when you want to use this for the whole organization, for all customers, and you have, for example, 15 billions of customers, because you are a huge company, and you have so much customers, then your laptop is not enough. You need something bigger. And then it depends on company, what kind of standards they have about the infrastructure, how long you have to wait for that. You have kinds of sandbox, or you don't have kinds of sandbox. You have MLOps platform, or you don't have MLOps platform. Yeah, so infrastructure. The next problem is that, let's say, standardization. In huge companies, you have very often not one data science team, but more. Or you have one, let's say, core data science team, but some data scientist works in different departments. And it's quite good and it works very well. But then every data scientist write a code with own standard and use the Git repository with own standard. And it's make an AI system, we have to think that we make like every IT system. So we have to take care about code, about the quality of the code, about the standards of working with Git, so code repository, etc. In data science world, is not so popular. The situation is better now, but a few years ago, it wasn't so obvious that the data scientists use code repository. And it wasn't obvious that they know even the basic rules about writing a code. It is quite normal because these people has knowledge from the mathematical, statistical perspective, not from the computer science perspective. But we have to take care about this kind of aspect also. Also, when we think about the scalability of our system in the organization, we have to take care about our end users. Because, probably we show the POC to some kind of limited group. I don't know, head of department, or maybe manager, or maybe, a few end users. But then when we build a huge system, we have to take care about every end users on different kind of levels. Levels in the hierarchy, but levels also from the perspective of the skills. Because, some kind of AI systems are very, very easy for everybody. But when we build, for example, forecasting, and this is some kind of analytical tool, let's say, or maybe better word is result. This result is very analytical. We have to explain that, our forecasting model predicts something. We use this kind of variables, for this time period. So we have to think about our end users also, because very often POC we show only to very small group of people.
Well, when it comes to end users, isn't it like that sometimes we should start with thinking about them before we create the AI projects? Isn't it like that?
Of course, this is one of the problem. Okay, now it's much better. But the problem of data science is that, okay, they like to create algorithms, analyze data, etc. And sometimes they don't think about the end users because they're so focused on algorithms and data.
And here we actually came back to what we've said at the very beginning, that there is this connection between business and data scientists and data people, and actually it's a collaboration that should take place here, and of course I believe that end users are a part of business.
Of course, when we talk about the AI in business, of course, because we have to remember that still we have a very interesting and a very important part of data scientists who work in R&D departments, who work in science, etc. So then situations a little bit different, but in business we have to remember about end users.
Well, we've been talking about all the problems or issues we can face when working and we're managing AI projects. And if you could give just 5 advice how to avoid some problems, what would be these 5 advice?
Okay, the first, when you start the project, make sure how will you measure the effect, the error, the result. Because data scientists use so many different kind of metrics, but these metrics are not so obvious for business. So you have to establish the metric or different kind of measure the effects of algorithms or AI system. This is the first one, because then you have a problem. The second is discussion about the expectations, because I know the situation. When we talk about the AI system, ML system, doesn't matter, and I see the expectations are very, very, very high. And sometimes, if you know the problem, and if you know data is very, very comfortable situation, but even if you know the problem and you did something like that, similar, then you can feel that maybe these expectations are too high. If somebody would come to me and expect that I will build throughout the system, fraud detection, and the expectations will be that 95 accuracy, I will say, no, thank you. It is impossible, probably, or maybe the situation is very, very strange, but in general, it's impossible to build fraud detection system for banking with so good quality, because it's very, very hard situation. So this is the second advice. The third advice, of course, you talk with business users, what do you do? But you have to really understand what kind of decision they will do based on your results. Because sometimes you understand very well the whole business environment, the whole business situation, but it's a small detail which will have a huge influence for the project. I will give you some example. You build a system for the classification, for example, emails from your customers to different categories. And you understand the categories, the emails, the whole process, etc. And you build the system and you are so focused on the quality of the categorization. But then you understand that business doesn't expect a very high quality of the categorization, because it doesn't matter if they will have in one category 95 emails or 100 emails, because they want to feel, let's say, the proportion, that to the category 1, you have 25% of emails, and is it 25 or 26 or % of emails? It doesn't matter, because they need a proportion. This is important because then you spend so many times to make some kind of corrections of algorithms, of data, and it's useless, because you spend too much time to make something what is not useful for business, For them, it's enough to have something good, not perfect. Okay, the fourth advice. The fourth advice, make sure that your general team, project team, has different kind of skill sets, because you don't need only data scientists on AI projects. You need a project manager. or sometimes you need Scrum Master, depends. Sometimes you need business analysts, data engineers, DevOps, data scientists, sometimes machine learning engineers, or maybe software developers. It depends on the project, but make sure that the skill set of the whole team will cover your 100% of needs. Data scientist is not a unicorn. They have a lot of skills. They're very, very smart, hardworking people, but they're not one person with 10 specializations. So we have to remember about it. And the last advice, last but not least, test your results with business. Of course, when we test the results, very often as a data scientist, we test this from the mathematical perspective, data perspective, but you have to go to the business users, show them the results, discuss these results as soon as possible. Even when these results are not perfect, you know that you can improve your model, your system. You should talk with people about the results very, very quickly, because very often you got the feedback which could change something about your thinking, change something in your thinking about the model, about the data, about the problem which you have in your AI system.
Thank you, Basia, for sharing these 5 pieces of advice, how to avoid issues when managing AI projects. Well, bearing them in mind, we can now think how to implement AI tools or models into the company to make them work well.
Okay, so first of all, we have to understand what we need, like always, because in many small companies, GenAI tools are enough. You can implement AI when you use different kind of AI tools. For example, my lovely GenAI tool, which I really love, and this is not a Notebook LM from Google, because this tool is very, very easy for everybody, and in every company, small or big, we have different kind of documents, and we have to search some kind of information. And so in small companies, very often we need this kind of tools. And then it's, let's say, quite easy. Okay, you have to find these tools which you want to use, which is useful for you, learn them, and then understand how it works, general AI, not in details, and what you can do, what you can't do. For example, don't use sensitive data, for example, with open source GenAI tools, for example. Of course, if you are a bigger company but not very big, okay, for big also, you have to remember about AI Act. This is in European Union now a quite hot topic about the law connected with AI, and very often is enough. And this is something what is very, very good for companies. Of course, then if you need to build your models, because you want to do something special in your business, something which will give you something special, something what the other companies doesn't have, you have to build your own models. Or if your data are very, very specific. Very often I work with business data. I call it this business data because they are very specific for the company where I made. This is the company. For example, the data about the customers, and they are crucial for every company. And then you have to build models. Then you have much more work to do, because of course you need a data scientist. You need somebody who can build this kind of model, who can develop this model on the production. Then, if you have the model on the production, you have to build a monitoring system for these models. Something what many people forgotten is monitoring. So you need somebody who knows how to do it. And very often, if you are a big company, you need a data science manager, AI manager, doesn't matter how we call it, because you need a person who will translate business to the technology to the business, but also a person who will manage the area, because now this area is quite big. We have models, we have GenAI tools, we have different frameworks for building models, we have different algorithms, we have AI Act, so we have the law, the policies inside the company. We have to learn company how to work with data science, and also we have to teach data scientists how to work with data engineers and other specialists. So then we have much more work, but we need also, let's say, two other branches. One is education or awareness. Maybe awareness is a better word, because if we work in a huge company, okay, maybe not everybody, but many people heard something about AI. But they don't know what they can do inside the company, or they don't know for what is AI. They see some kind of images, for example, or they see some kind of movies, but there is not the whole spectrum of AI possibilities, about AI possibilities. So let's spread awareness about AI possibilities, restrictions, limits, etc. And the second branch is, let's prepare the infrastructure, or let's prepare the place for these models. Sometimes it's infrastructure with on-premises servers, sometimes it's with cloud infrastructure. It depends on the company, what they prefer, what kind of data they have, and something like that. But we need this also two branches for do it. For that, we also have data science managers, AI managers, because we have one person which will take care about the whole, because I see this in some companies that very often, companies say, okay, we will do AI, this is so useful for our people, for our company, we will save money, or maybe we will increase our results, we will do models, we will use generated tools. And then every department do something different without any, let's say, strategy or any plan. These people both access to ChatGPT. These people use Gemini. These people, use some kind of specific GenAI tools. This department built own models, but they don't have data scientists. They have software engineers, data analysts who learn machine learning, and it's perfect that people learn, but still it's easier when you have somebody more experienced on board, and then it's a little bit chaos in organization. So that's why you need a person who will catch these all aspects of AI in one plan, in one strategy, especially for now. The last but not least, and very, very important aspect, when you start with AI in your company, don't do a huge project as a first project. Yeah, I know that very often the biggest projects make the biggest impact for the company. Yeah, so the people won't do it. But if it is the first project, you don't even know how many problems you will have. You don't even know how to avoid these problems. Yeah, okay, maybe if you have a very trusted vendor, okay, you can do it. But if you have only your own people, your own team, and good programmers, okay, good developers, let's start with low-hanging fruit, something easier, something what can give you quite soon a success, and also, impact for your company.
Okay, but so speaking of that, what can be that kind of projects? Can you give us just maybe 3 examples of such projects, of low-hanging fruit projects?
Oh my God, it depends on the company. Really. The company, the departments, etc. Okay, sometimes it's this kind of categorization of emails, or maybe looking for some kind of keywords. Sometimes it's, I know people who use still Excel for everything, and it's perfect. I'm always I'm curious because I don't know Excel so well as they. But when we want to predict something, when we talk about the time series, etc., okay, moving average is sometimes very, very good, but sometimes even with a little bit sophisticated algorithm for time series, we can build something better, and maybe it will give some kind of optimization and a better results for business. It depends on the time series. Some time series are very, very hard to do it, even like a first project. Maybe building a knowledge base for your documents. Of course, if you don't have 1 million of documents, but starting with, 5 documents, 5 PDFs, and build a knowledge base for your employees. Or maybe use GenAI to describe pictures. For example, if you have a website, and we have now a law in the European Union that you have to have your website with an alternative text about the pictures. And of course, you can do this by hand, but Maybe you can use AI for that. Maybe it's useful if you have more than 10 pictures. And then you have to use multi-models, different kind of models to generate the descriptions of the pictures. Maybe for that. It depends on the company, it depends on the maturity of the problem, on data, but I think we have many examples. But it should be something easy to do it, and something what is needed for company, and something what is not very, very complicated from the business perspective.
So, Basiu, thank you very much for sharing with us all the knowledge, how to start AI projects and the idea of lowest hanging fruits, and of course, how to omit some traps on the road to success. Well, talking about success and talking about that we need specialists, more and more of them, could you just share a little bit of your career journey in data and analytics? What advice would you give yourself as a younger self, or to someone who is just starting in the fields today? What would you change? What would you do differently? Generally, what would be your advice to people who start with AI and want to become data scientists, data engineers, or just people who will be working in AI?
It's a bit to give the advice to myself, my younger version, and then to take advice to people who want to join AI world. Because, the first I will say to everybody who wants to join AI world that don't be afraid of AI and don't be afraid that you need be a PhD, you have to have a very statistical and mathematical skills, etc. Honestly, I didn't graduate mathematics or computer science. I'm proud of different kind of title. And I think this is something what is very important. Because, if you have this kind of opportunity and you really feel good in computer science, etc., and you are now on this kind of university, it's perfect. And use it. But if not, it doesn't matter. You have a lot of bootcamps, courses, materials, meetups, conferences. You can learn a lot from internet. And very often, maybe not everything for free, but the price is not very, very high. Now you have a lot of different kind of materials for programming, for understanding the algorithm, for understanding the deployments models, understanding GenAI tools, etc. Maybe it could be easier if you will join the university and join to the computer science faculty. But if not, you still have a chance. This is the first advice. The second, sometimes your weakest side is your strongest side. Because, as I said, I'm not graduated in computer science or mathematics. Yeah, so this is some kind of my weakness side in data science field. But it's also the strongest side, strongest skill, because then I can talk with business a little bit different, because I don't have so much mathematical concepts behind my head. Of course, I understand everything what my people do and what kind of algorithms we build, yeah, but it was from my perspective that I have to understand them and learn this kind of language, this kind of perspective, and then I can translate this to the business much easier than people who spend 5 years to use different kind of tools, different kind of algorithms, and really use advanced mathematics. Really advanced, yeah? And I know people who are in totally different fields, not even in IT. And today they use GenAI tools. They know a little bit about AI. They know the fundamentals. And some of them will go further and join some data science courses, machine learning courses, and they will learn how to build models. I know one woman exactly, who were a very, very good photographer. And one day she decided, I don't want to do this one more time, but I like data. I will start my work with data. So she was a data analyst. She prepared reports, different kind of reports and analysis. And then she built models, machine learning models, exactly deep learning models, so neural networks. This is not something very, very easy, but she learned it. I know also a person who was after some language faculty. I don't remember which kind of language. Yeah, so she graduated language faculty. So definitely not IT person. But she decided, okay, I like it. I want to try. I want to change my career. And she did it. And now she is one of elite data science in one of the company. So sometimes it is very important to use something what you have, but other people don't have it. Yeah, and this kind of advice also I got from one on very experienced person. He told me, Basia, okay, you can be a developer, you can be a programmer, but you will find data scientist with software engineering skills. Maybe not very, very easy, but let's say quite easy. But if your skills is your business skills, it's much better for you to train this kind of skills combined with data science, because this kind of people are not very popular now. Yeah, so this is the second advice. Yeah, use all your skill sets, not only technical skills. The other advice, which I could give everybody who won't join AI world, is if you have this kind of opportunity, try to find a mentor. Sometimes you can find mentorship programs. Sometimes you can find somebody on the conferences, meetups, etc. But if you have this kind of opportunity that you have somebody around who is very experienced and you can ask him or her about some kind of advice, is priceless. The next advice which I could give people is learn not only algorithms and not only about data, because data science and AI is not only about these two aspects. Okay, this is very important and this is the heart of AI, but still we need skills of data analysis, data visualization, software engineering skills, so general understanding how it works, DevOps skills, much more. Now, platforms, cloud platforms, etc. So AI is not only about the algorithms, it's wider. So this is the advice, and maybe the last advice for people who want to join, make projects. Even if you do something on only, on the examples, not really data. And of course, this data are perfect. But still, this kind of project will learn you a lot. And the second, if you do this project, try to really understand what you do and why you do. Yeah, not, okay, I will take the data set from Kaggle, I implement light GBM, for example, and I implement the hyperparameters, and okay, I will calculate the metrics and everything. No, understand what kind of data you have, what kind of business aspect or question you will try to answer, and how you really use this kind of algorithm. Doesn't matter what kind of algorithm. What really means these parameters? What really means these metrics? How to read these metrics? And because it's easy to say, okay, if your error is closer to 1 is better, closer to 0 is worse. Okay, this is the first step. But if you want to be a data scientist, you have to understand a little bit better.
So here you come to soft skills again, yeah? Because critical thinking, yeah, problem solving, these are soft skills, yeah, thinking. So it's more important to understand the whole process than to go into this process. I believe so. What you've said was that we should concentrate on our, let's say, drawbacks, yeah, the things that we are not perfect in, because they can give us power. Yeah, I believe so too, that sometimes the things that we think that we are not enough, we are enough. And actually we can use it when working with AI, especially now, when it's so close to business, when it's so close to us, yes, to the real world. We can use it everywhere. Even if you don't work, you can use AI at home, so to your own personal stuff. So yeah, and what you've said about the projects, Basiu, I've also heard this opinion that the best idea is to try and to start some projects and to understand it from the very basis and to work on that, because it gives you like practice. You will learn a lot on your mistakes, and then you can work on new skills to build. That's really precious what you said. I think that most of us will pay attention to it when we want to work with an AI and actually help ourselves in everyday life, and yeah, not only personal one, but also like the business one too. Okay, One thing I would like to ask is just connected to business leaders. Well, if you could give one piece of advice to business leaders about AI, what would it be?
One advice is don't be afraid about the fail. In data science and AI, it is very, very natural that many projects will fail. Many experiments of models will fail. And for example, the hundreds experiment will be okay. Don't be afraid that many POCs won't come to the deployment. It's very natural, and don't expect that you will have success on the first project. Of course, it's perfect to have it, but data science and AI is totally different than other IT branches, which I know. Here, it's quite natural that we don't have success on every project.
Okay. Thank you, Basia, for this fascinating talking and sharing with us all your experience of being a connector somehow, between business and data scientists and data engineers teams. I hope you will like our talking and our discussion. I hope we will have more time one day to talk about different issues, maybe connected to some projects you've made. Thank you very much for sharing, and thank you very much for talking. I hope, we'll meet soon, especially in the real life situations, in the conferences and events, because I know that you are quite often on them and you are quite active when it comes to different organizations and taking part and actually educating people about AI. Thank you very much, Basiu.
Thank you very much, Anna. See you soon.
Thank you very much for listening to us, and I would like to invite you for our next podcast.